the meeting, but of respect for all of you who are already here, I think we can start. Welcome to our second webinar in this Climate Health Initiative. My name is Esperanza Diaz, for those of you who do not know me, the director of the Pandemic Center. And we wanted to, we have just started this initiative at the University of Bergen, together with other institutions in Bergen, to try to get to know each other and collaborate as much as possible in this new field of climate and health. And for that, we have organized this webinar series so that we get to know different actors in the field. And today we have with us Håvard Haarstad, who is the director of the Climate and Energy Transformation Center. You will say more about that very soon. Håvard, thank you very much for being with us. And I want to make you all give you information about the possibility of applying for a PhD position. The link will be set in the chat, because this is a new opportunity that now coming to collaborate. And the idea is to have mentors from at least 2 faculties so that we can work together. The idea today is that Håvard will talk like for 15-20 minutes to present the center, and then we all have time to pose questions and to give information to related projects that we know about. We have with us Frederica here, who is very good at making money out of things, so that could be another possibility. So I think I will just stop here and say, Håvard, welcome to this webinar. As I said, probably people are going to just come into the meeting while you're talking, but please, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Esperanza. I'm very happy to be involved in this initiative and to use this opportunity to talk about how we can collaborate. So as you just said, I just want to give a bit of background on CET. I think some of you might know a bit about CET, but I'll just give an overview, and then we'll try to talk about how what are the interlinkages and overlaps, and what are the shared interests that we have. I also have with me a partner in crime here, Celia, who is waving her hand. So she's also at CET. She's sitting just on the other side of my wall at the moment. So yeah, we're based at yeah, maybe I'll just do this so you can look at this. We've just recently moved to our new offices, or a year ago actually, so it's not recent. I'm just used to saying that it's recently. In Kristiansgate 18, which is right next to Museeplass 1. So right in the middle of the Faculty of Social Science. So that's so we have our offices here, and we have lunch meetings that you are welcome to join. I can say more about that, but I want to share a screen to have a few slides. Let's see, to just sort of run you through this. So this is the picture of the gang that was at the latest retreat that we had. Very different weather from today. This is CET. Yeah, so sort of the formulation of what we do is actionable knowledge for rapid, just, and deep transformation of society. So we are focusing on climate, particularly the energy aspect of climate transformation, with a basis in social science. And that means that we are not only social scientists. I mean, we are based at the Faculty of Social Science. Many of us are also hired at the social sciences, but we involve also people from other faculties, particularly humanities, also to some extent psychology. So the center has 3 core partners: university, Norwegian School of Economics, and Norse. But it's primarily the university that is that's sort of the core institution in the center. So of people who are hired at the center, we have about 18 people at the moment, 3 professors or associate professor. We have 2 admin staff, Nora, who's working on research coordination, and Judith, who is our head of communications. 3 postdocs and 7 PhD candidates, and 3 in Professor 2. That is 20% positions. So, and the way we are set up is that we have these 18 people at the moment are the sort of the core group, have office spaces here in our offices in Kristiansgata, and then we have what we call an affiliate network. So these are people who are based in Norse, UiB, or NHH, primarily UiB, who are sort of members of the center. To become an affiliate, you fill out this form online basically, and when we want anyone can join if you're hired at one of these institutions. If you join as an affiliate, you get the newsletter, invite to CET lunches and to other events. We use the list of affiliate researchers to create projects, and then also invited to report activities for the annual report of CET. So, as I would say, like at the core, like the people at the core of the center sitting here in the offices, it's a lot of recruitment positions, PhDs and postdocs, because they are hired through our projects. The affiliate network is mostly composed of people in permanent positions sitting around in different institutes across the university. So we have, this was at the end of 2023, taking some of these slides from the annual report, but we had 12 research projects running, and they are listed here. They're mostly, they're funded by the Research Council or by the EU. We're members of an ERC project based at Chalmers University. So these are projects where we are either leading the project or are partners, like substantial partners in the project, where we get some sort of like a recruitment position or something like that. And we have we're part of research schools, two research schools. These schools that were funded by the Norwegian Research Council to create these activities for research for PhD students across Norway and elsewhere. Of our publications, again, this is from the annual report from 2023. We count up the publications where we are where CET is either has funded the research or one of our employees has been a significant part of the publications. We had 66 publications last year, and some media engagements and seminars, 46 workshops and open workshops and seminars. So I'm just saying that to give sort of a picture of the activity. We spend a lot of time organizing events. We have the CET lunches. That's a big part of those 46 events, but also other things. We have the sustainable breakfast, bärkraftig frukost, that we do with Bergen Kommune, and other seminars and workshops that we organize. So we spend quite a bit of time on this sort of public engagement, and that is because that's part of our mission, in a sense, is to do, if you remember the first slide, of actionable research, or actionable knowledge, that we want this knowledge that we are generating through our research to be communicated outside of academia. Right, here's some examples of media engagement. We had one article that was featured in The Guardian last year about climate anger. That was Thea Gregersen, who's now working at Norse, who was leading that work. So here are some pictures of some of our events. I think I've said enough about that. We have master students. We open 2, 3, 4 seats in our offices, so desk spaces for master students. I think that's a really good thing for us to have. Create some dynamism in the group. Master students are coming in on sort of a one-year basis, typically students who are doing their second year of their thesis when they're writing up their research. And they're invited to sit here and contribute to our discussions and seminars, etc. Every other year, we have the Beyond Oil conference, which we did in 2023, and we're now organizing the Beyond Oil conference for 2025. So that will be in October next year at NGFM this time. We've usually had it at the House of Literature downtown, which is a very nice area, but then we thought this time we'll try NGFM. Yeah, so we have keynotes confirmed, and we're about to send out the call for abstracts. It's a very nice conference, and I think, I mean, we could also highlight health or work in this climate health initiative at this conference. That's quite possible. It's a good meeting place, I think, for people who sort of an interdisciplinary conference. So I think it's been a good meeting place for people who don't necessarily find the disciplinary spaces for the kind of work that they do, basically. So yeah, so that we can talk about that, whether Beyond Oil is a good platform for communicating research from the Climate Health Initiative. We just had a new research project funded, which is called Eco Budgets, where I'm the PI, which is looking at the budgeting mechanism for nature and climate governance. So we're seeing that municipalities are using more and more budget approaches, which means you get an overview of how much nature you have, you map it, and then you use a budgeting approach to thinking about how much nature can you use, in a sense, like we do with money, or how much CO2 can you emit and still remain within your CO2 targets. So a lot of municipalities are using this approach now. It might become a good way of keeping politicians in check, hopefully, and that's what the project is about. It's like, how are these budgets and this budgeting approach used in actual decision making? Very exciting. We just got this funded, and we have Bergen Municipality and Westland County Council as partners, and also Fremtenkt. One thing I want to say about CET also is that we have a low carbon travel policy, and we want our affiliates to at least know of this and take some account of it. We're trying to reduce the CO2 emissions from our research activities. So that means we try to find alternatives to flying. We try to have an overview of how much CO2 we emit. We try to organize meetings in as sustainable way as possible. For example, only vegetarian or preferably only plant-based food, at least if Silja has her say. And this has been a really interesting tool to work with, and we've been getting a lot of attention for this. And we've tried to use this to lobby for the university and other universities to think more about the sustainability aspects of our research activities. So basically, the structure is sort of the formal aspects of CET. We're based at the Faculty of Social Science, administered by the Department of Geography. We have a steering committee with representatives from NORS, NHH, and Bjerknes, and this is the key thing for us. We have basic funding from the Ministry of Education and Research. So I'd be happy to talk about that, how we landed that. But a few years ago, we were lobbying politicians and lobbied as much as we could all over the place, and we're successful in getting basic funding. So that's paying for the administration that we have, and some recruitment positions, which is a big deal. And yeah, and now rent from our new offices. We have a mascot. That's Elsa. So that was CET, and I also wanted to point to a few examples of health-related research. So we don't, I mean, very little of our research has a health label. Like few people at CET would call themselves health researchers. But I still think that there's a lot of, or at least some overlap between some of the things that we do and health, and there are areas where this can be connected in a nice way. And one thing is Silja's work on food. Silja, do you want to speak to this slide, or should I just? Do you want to say something, Silja?
Yeah, I can say something about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm an associate professor here at CET. So I work here together with Håvard, and I have a PhD in communication science. So I often look at how the mass media cover different issues pertaining to the environment, to climate change, food, health. And I'm very specifically very interested in food, both in how food production contributes to climate change that then makes people sick, and also food choices that people make that make people sick. So at the center there's food, and then there is climate change, or at the center there's climate change and food, but also health. I have published a little bit on food, but not food and health so far. Here to the left on the slide, I have 2 articles that look at how news media in the US and in the UK cover, in the first one, animal agriculture and climate change. So specifically articles in those media sources that make the connection between climate change and animal culture, and then looking at how do the journalists then discuss the cause of climate change connected to food and agriculture, and what would be the solutions. And then the second article on the left looks at how cultured meat, or it's often also called clean meat or lab-grown meat, how that new technology was covered in the media as well. And then on the right-hand side, I have included an article that looked at the coverage of COVID-19 in 6 different countries, if I remember correctly, during the first few weeks after the shutdown in March in 2020. So those are some of the things that I've been working on so far. And I'm also very interested in new projects that connect the 3 food, climate, and health. So that's a little bit about me.
Thanks. Yeah. And Silja is also the main person in charge of Elsa, the center's mascot.
I am her manager.
And the other approach from CET research is, I would say, my own research, but there are also other people who are working on this here, and that would be sustainable cities. So that's sort of my core research is about how to make cities more climate friendly, sustainable, green, and health is a major part of that. And it's very often I think more and more health is used to legitimate or to motivate climate friendly policies. So there's a big overlap there between what's climate friendly and what's good for health. So, for example, within the UN SDG number 11, it's both motivated by, which is about sustainable cities and communities. It's motivated by climate and sustainability and reducing pollution, etc. But it's also motivated by very specific health reasons, like the effects of pollution. Like it's more healthy for people to have active mobility, as we call it, cycling and walking in particular, than sitting in a car, obviously. So when we argue for these kinds of climate-friendly policies, very often an argument that works at the local level is how bicycles, for example, bicycle lanes pays off in terms of the public health costs. So same with green spaces and parks in cities. It's good for biodiversity. It's good for climate. Also good for public health in both psychological health, mental health, and physical health. So I think here there's also a great deal of overlap between climate aspects and health issues. So looking a bit wider, I think the potential for collaboration here is within, I mean, what Silja was talking about, health and food systems, and what I have been talking about just now with sustainable cities, climate-friendly cities. I would say another aspect which is related to CET research and what some people here are working on is climate adaptation. What sort of climate adaptation measures we are using and thinking health as part of adapting to a changing climate. That will bring other CET researchers into this discussion. And one other thing I wanted to mention was at the Faculty of Social Science, there's something called the Citizen Panel, or Medborgerpanelet, which some CET researchers are active in or are using. It's basically a public perceptions measuring tool where they ask citizens about their opinions on various issues, and that I have found has been very useful in interdisciplinary collaboration because research approaches from other, let's say, non-social science perspectives sometimes have a need to find out what is the public opinion on a particular type of issue. For example, we are collaborating with people working on hydrogen from a natural science perspective, and they are interested in what's the public perceptions around hydrogen. Then the citizen panel has been very useful, and what we then do is that we pay for, through research funding, some questions to be put to people through the citizen panel. So we could get, for hydrogen, we got about 4,000, I think, responses about people's perceptions of hydrogen. So this can be used also for health. But more broadly, we are working on governance issues, cultural issues. And so I think there's a wide range of potential collaborations between research going on at CET and things that could be happening within this research initiative, things that are not necessarily labeled health, but are research where you need to try to understand the social systems of things, politics, economics, culture, etc. So yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Håvard. You have given a good overview of the center and some ideas of what can be done, definitely. I have written here in the chat that people can either write questions there or just raise your hand so that we can comment or have whatever you want to know. But while we are waiting, Anne, we don't have to wait. You have already. Please introduce yourself just in case somebody does not know who you are.
Yes, thank you, Esperanza. I'm Anne Johannessen, Professor of Epidemiology and Head of Research Group for Greenest Air Pollution and Health at the IGS Medical Faculty. Thank you, Håvard. Very nice presentation and very nice always to hear about CET. And it is an impressive amount of activity going on with you guys. I have two questions, or one comment, one also kind of just building up on the potential for collaboration, and especially maybe the point about making societies more climate friendly, more the green shift and all of these aspects is really a great way of connecting the social sciences and the health sciences, at least. I recently had, I didn't attend it myself, but I recently had 2 PhDs that attended a conference in Sitges outside Barcelona on urban transitions. It's a biannual conference, and that conference covers exactly this field on how to merge social sciences and health sciences to create better future societies. So I think there's lots of potential for collaboration in that regard. And then I also just had one quick question. I love the low carbon travel policy, and I take the train to most conferences these past years, but I do have sometimes some difficulty in getting acceptance for the extra time spent and all of this. Is this travel policy something you could share? Is it something you could? Yeah,
absolutely. I think our new one is online. Let me see if I can. I'll find it and post it in the chat. We just adopted a new one. I'm actually not sure if it's online yet. But yeah, I mean, this has been one of the problems we've faced. So what we did earlier was to say we set aside money in our budget to say, okay, we will subsidize green travel. So if you want to take a train, it costs a bit more. Just send us a very simple application to say, here's what the plane costs. Here's what the train will cost extra. We'll pay for the extra cost. And then we did not get acceptance for that from the faculty because they said, national regulations say that you have to travel in an economically efficient way as possible. But I have talked to people at other universities who are getting acceptance for this. So it's really about how this is interpreted locally.
Yeah, and also I just have to add, I do get acceptance from it from my faculty, but I have issues regarding to a position I have in the European Respiratory Society, and they have as a key point that they will contribute to a better, more climate-friendly world, and they really don't like me spending extra days on the train.
No, I mean we try different things, right? I mean. Sometimes it works to take the train. I think there's a cultural shift now. I think, and I think actually the private sector is way ahead of us here because there in companies, some companies have this as a rule. If there's a train between 2 cities, you have to take the train. You can't even fly. But what we are, so we I don't know. We tried different measures, and the sort of subsidizing green travels hasn't really worked that well. I think the cultural shift is the big thing, that we talk about it, to put it on the agenda, and then people find it interesting that other people are doing this, and it's easy to motivate. For my own personal, I mean, I have small kids, so it's very difficult for me to travel, and what I often use to not blame it on that. That's also a legitimate reason. But when I'm invited to speak at places, I say I would love to, but we have a low carbon travel policy that I have to abide by. So would you consider that I can participate virtually? And then they say, yeah, that's perfectly fine. So that saves the climate, but also saves my wife from having to do everything.
Okay.
Saves
we might not want to go into personal issue. But if I may continue a little bit, you suggested the possibility, because I think that it's now a momentum to collaborate because of different things, so that we do need to use this particular time. So you suggested this possibility of working with this Beyond Oil conference that you have, and I think that could be, if you think that's a possibility, that's going to be a really good thing that we could talk about later. But very, very specifically, as we put in the chat, there is now a possibility for a PhD combining this climate and health issue. And although the deadline is relatively close, what we see is that, and a lot more money is to come in this field, I'm sure about it. Fredrik can tell us later. But the issue is that I think we have to think collectively on this of knowledge and how we move forward into themes or areas, crossing areas that we don't already have a lot of knowledge about. Because what I am finding is that I am contacted by PhD candidates, people who want to take a PhD, but they don't find they don't find mentors, specifically in medicine, because people do not think that they are good enough in climate.
Yeah.
And possibly, if they ask people in the climate part, they will say no, because they are not good enough in health. So I've worked interdisciplinary many times, but this is in addition like something new that has to be created. So do you have any thoughts about how can we manage that? Because it doesn't help to make these positions or new projects if nobody takes a chance or stands forward and say, I will do that.
We have some experience with that. I mean, the hydrogen stuff that I mentioned is one example where we have a project there on sort of social aspects of hydrogen safety and hydrogen sort of as a carrier for energy and the green transition, etc. And there we have the main supervisor is based at mathematics, natural science faculty, and is working on hydrogen. And then I am a co-supervisor. So from the social science aspect, and then we advise on different aspects of the thesis. It's a little bit risky because that if that some problems might fall between these two chairs. That is a little bit risky, but it's worked well so far. I think it demands a little bit more of the student because the project becomes a little bit non-traditional, and of course when they are evaluated from their base faculty. So it's not unproblematic, but it's been tried, and we have tried it with some success. So I think it's just a matter of, but research is going in that direction. So I think it's just a matter of trying and doing it and improving.
Let's hope so. Friederike and then Stefan.
Yeah, hello. My name is Friederike Hoffmann. I'm research advisor at the Geophysical Institute and the Bjerknes Center. And I was interested to hear about your research about climate, health, and food nexus. So maybe my question is more to Silje. We have some researchers who work about, like from a natural science climate perspective, about food safety in Africa. So how climate change will affect food availability in African countries in the future. And is this something you could contribute to from a social science aspect, or are you mostly looking at society in Norway?
No, I am not just looking at Norway, and now I'm trying to focus more on Norway because I've been living in the US and in Switzerland for most of my academic career. So now I'm refocusing on Norway, but I'm interested in whatever areas of the world it is. If you need someone who looks at media or also public perception, some of this, I do surveys and also interviews with people. So I have experience in those methods. And it really sounds interesting with Africa. I know that there is more and more research coming from there on food safety and food availability. So definitely we could talk more about that. I'd love to hear more about the project.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There are in addition people at the Faculty of Medicine working on food and food security. So this could be an area that we could organize a small meeting in case there is interest into developing new projects.
Yeah. Definitely.
There are certainly coming up opportunities funded by the EU. There is an initiative that the EU and the African Union, they want to collaborate more. And there are already calls proposed for 25, 26, which go into this direction. So this is good to hear that we have an expert here on the social science side.
Interesting, thanks. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Stefan?
Yes, thank you. Stefan Kjellufsson, I'm at the Department of Global Public Health and Primary Health Care at the University of Bergen, and my work is very much so I have a general practitioner of background, and I do a lot of work on medical overuse and unsustainable practices in healthcare due to unsustainable growth, overdiagnosis, and overtreatment, and the link here would be to pollution and and carbon emissions from healthcare. And as Esperanza says, there is a time for collaboration here, and one of the, I think, knowledge gaps becomes very well visible in the recent national roadmap to sustainable low emission healthcare. So roadmap to sustainable and low emission health systems in Norway from the Directorate of Health. And this roadmap, it shows that we don't know enough about emissions from the health system in Norway, and especially not about emissions from primary health care, and we don't know much about how to reduce emissions from healthcare. And I think research projects in that area, how to map emissions from healthcare and develop interventions to reduce emissions from healthcare in Norway. That could be one field of collaboration here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when so we have this seed money grants we call accelerator grants, and one of the most exciting ones we have given went to Anand Bhopal, and he did a report with that money on decarbonizing healthcare. I put the link to the report in the chat, and yeah, and you're probably still right that we don't know enough about this, but and I agree, it's a really good opportunity for collaboration there to figure out how to reduce emissions further in this health sector. I mean, just I don't remember the details of the report, but I remember I was quite astonished by the amount of emissions from this sector when looking into it.
Roughly 5% of global emissions come from the health sector, so it's huge.
That is huge. Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree. It's a very good area of collaboration. But then we would, I mean, if we were put into that, then we would also look into this work that was done by Anand, and I think he's still developing initiatives on this at the moment. So yeah.
I'm just writing to you, Stefan. I will send you an email because there's one of these candidates that is looking for a mentor in medicine who could think of this is specifically the thing that you're talking about. I will just send you her address. Okay, we have a couple of minutes, and if there's any more questions or comments. Otherwise, I want to invite you to our next webinar that will be on the 13th of December, and where Kristina Onan from Cicero will come and tell us a little bit. Many of you know her. And I want to thank Håvard and Silja and all those of you from CET who were here today for this information. I think there's one more. I don't know if there's Yiwo. Do you want to ask something or comment something?
No, I took a wrong button. No, thank you.
Otherwise, that's fine. I think that the idea is that we just don't let this go, is that we think of each other when we make projects, that we use the contacts that we have, we maximize the opportunities to working together. And if I, through the Climate Health Initiative, can be kind of a catalyzer or something. But Håvard, you want to have a couple of words?
I could say in closing that we have our lunch, also have CET lunch seminars, and we can talk separately, Esperanza, about sort of sharing information about those things. But it would be very nice in the spring sometime if someone from this initiative, maybe you, Esperanza, or someone else, could come and have a presentation at the CET lunch, because that would also, we could have more CET researchers part of that discussion. So I think that would be great.
Definitely.
We have this exchange of ideas.
And I think if you send this kind of information to Gödil, I think we can use each other's websites to maximize the impact of our meetings, because it's always something that it's better to collaborate.
Yeah.
Well, with these words, we say thank you very much to everybody, and have a nice weekend soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.